We're live. I'm so excited for today's 10x Go to Market podcast. I'm your host today. I'm Sandy. I'm the head of marketing here at Pocus, and I have the wonderful Megan Boone joining us, who is the head of marketing at Redis. And she is a demand gen expert that has a lot of hot takes. So I'm super excited for this conversation today. If you're joining us in the audience and you have some questions, please drop them in the chat and we'll try and weave them into our rapid fire 30 minutes here. Otherwise, I'm sure Megan would love to get in touch after the conversation. So Megan, thanks for joining me today. I was hoping maybe you could kick us off with tell us a little bit about you and your background. Are you currently at your childhood home because it's Thanksgiving week, or is that your actual normal background?
Yeah, I think that's a good story. Well, one, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. You guys put on a good show, so hopefully I can live up to the other guests you've had. I am calling in from my regular home office. Sorry to disappoint. I know most people are calling up from their childhood bedrooms right now, but my childhood bedroom is purple, and so I'm happy that I'm not there right now. So that's a fun fact. But a little bit of me. Hi, everyone. I'm Megan. I'm marketing at Redis. I am based in Cherokee, California, so mostly remote, but pretty close to San Francisco. I could dive into a little bit of my background. I've been at Redis for about 2 years, and I actually started as the head of demand gen and then was recently promoted into the head marketing role. And I've really spent my entire career sort of touching the demand gen function in many various parts. Fun fact, though, I did technically start my career as an SDR, which I think every great marketer and sales leader has started as an SDR somewhere. So hitting the phone and cold calling, I think, really toughens you up in a meaningful way. And it's fun to kind of see that full circle. But I spent my career in large companies, small companies, selling different types of software infrastructure to different buyers, solving different problems. And I really like to round out my experience to pattern match. That's what good marketers do. It's like we're just trying to observe what's happening in the world to stitch it all together. And so I've been really intentional about, every time I've made a change, what am I looking to learn? How am I looking to grow myself? How can I be in a company going from 0 to 10, but then, 100 to a billion? I've been in 10 to 100. And so like, it's fun to see every single type of stage. And I'm in a fun one right now at Redis. So excited to talk more about what we're doing.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm very excited to dive into that breadth of experience. One thing you mentioned to me, though, when we were prepping for this conversation was how you describe your scope today at Redis as building the ultimate top of funnel. So I'd really love for you to explain what that means, because I think it's an awesome way to describe what you do, and like how some of the SDR background actually plays into that now.
Yeah. The marketing function at Redis, and the reason I describe it as the ultimate top of funnel is, that's our purpose. That's our job here, is to drive people into, I don't know if I like the word funnel now that I'm thinking about it, but drive people through into a successful sale to create happy, productive, successful customers. And so that scope is everything from brand and messaging to product marketing to the demand engine to events to our SDR org, to customer marketing. Like, how do we tell stories, bring people in, hook them on what we're doing here at Redis, and really drive some meaningful? And I think you're seeing that broader trend in a lot of marketing leaders coming from the demand background right now, because the economy is shifting. And, that was really my focus coming in 2 years ago, is like, okay, cool, Redis, we've got this amazing community. And how do we tap into that amazing community? And that can be really tough when you're blessed with millions of people coming through, already engaging with your product, a really natural product-led motion, given we're an open source company. So how do we actually find our focus? We need to pull that through into revenue. And so that's why I like to frame it as the ultimate top of funnel, because at the end of the day, like, our jobs are to help make it a lot easier to generate revenue at a appealing growth rate.
Yeah. And I think it's important, thinking about all of those different touch points are contributing to the ultimate goal of revenue. And so when marketing does own that full breadth, you can really orchestrate things more cohesively across those different channels, and things don't end up in silos.
Exactly. And that's the tough part of our jobs. Like, how do we break down those silos within marketing, within the go-to-market organization? So having that scope really helps at least get started on that.
Yeah. So you mentioned SDRs are reporting into marketing, and I think this is a bit of a debate. Should SDRs report into marketing or sales? And I think you have a strong perspective on this. So tell us why SDR should report to marketing.
Do. And I love my SDR function so much because they really make everything happen. They are the connective tissue between marketing and sales. I think especially right now, marketing's job has really evolved quite a bit, and it's evolving really quickly now with AI. But we need to be the intelligence engine at the go-to-market machine. And so, we're kind of at the epicenter, stitching together everything that's happening in the market, in our database, with our customers, with our prospects. So like, how do we actually create an intelligence engine? And that's something that's really tough to do. And I wish it were really easy. And we're just scratching the surface on this. But the goal when you break it down, and we'll talk more about this with AI because I'm really passionate about it, but it's like nothing has really changed because we're still just trying to get in front of the right people, the right time, the right message, and the right experience. Like, how do we deliver personalization at scale? I think when the SDR function reports into marketing, you're able to like test and iterate really quickly. One, marketing already has experimentation roots, especially if you've got a growth marketing function, especially if you have a demand gen team. Like, experimentation is the name of the game. You can never launch something, wait 12 months to craft this perfect campaign, this perfect narrative, and then it's going to drive meaningful results. No, we know that's changed quite a bit. And if anything, it's come down like so far on the timelines and the plans. And so we need the ability to launch and iterate really, really quickly. If the SDR function isn't a part of marketing, it's just really hard to do that quickly. You can still do it, but you're in regularly scheduled meetings. It ends up being a quarterly cadence versus a monthly, a weekly, ideally a daily. So I think that's where the value is. But I do want to note, I mean, the reason this is so contested is because there's SDR career path. When we're hiring SDRs, the profile we're looking for is I want sellers. I want people who are going to turn into quota carrying sellers on my team. That's what a great SDR is going to be. Obviously, you've got a lot of paths when you join that function. I think it's an incredible door into tech. But at the end of the day, I'm measuring success, one, by how much revenue my SDRs were able to generate per head and how many SDRs I'm able to graduate into a quota carrying role. And so that's where that tight alignment with my sales team and my CRO comes into play. We're like, hey, we're doing this thing together. Where it reports shouldn't change that. You should be very aligned. How do my SDRs, support the sellers? How are they graduating in that role? How am I designing the career path? Am I hiring the right people? That is very much like a co-function with the sales team. But back to the intelligence engine and being able to iterate quickly, like, is just not going to happen with the SDR being outside of marketing. So sounds like a hot take from me.
But I mean, the way that you just described it, it sounds like obviously like that's how everyone should do it. Why do you think that a lot of teams don't operate that way? Is it just kind of like that's the way things have been always? So weird inertia is carrying teams?
It's a good question. I think everyone's just got a different setup internally. So it does depend on what your motions look like. If your marketing team isn't seen as the intelligence hub, if your marketing team can't move quickly, if they can't experiment, the SDRs probably shouldn't be there. But for us, again, at Redis, like what I'm really trying to tap into is this unbelievable developer community affinity. And how do I make sure that I'm able to translate that into some sort of actionable insight to act on? And because of that, my SDR should very much be a part of marketing. But, if you're moving up market, you're doing, very large enterprise selling with few accounts, maybe the SDR shouldn't be marketing because that's much more of a strategic sales admin role. So it just depends, like, on stage and the problems you're trying to solve. But for us, again, we've got so much data flowing through our business. We need to be able to capture that momentum versus go try to find our own. And I've been pushing really aggressively, been here 2 years. Like, for Redis, cold outbound shouldn't exist. There's no reason for us to do any cold outbound. Now, that doesn't mean it's an inbound lead, it's a hand raiser, it's a contact request. What it means is we should be really mindful of when we're going after people and why, because we think we can help them at this moment in time. Not just we want to sell to them, but we think right now, uniquely, we have an opportunity to come consult and help you go solve your problems in a way that you weren't going to get for.
Exactly. It's the warm outbound, the warm leads that are showing those signals that have some sort of intent that you want your SDRs to capitalize on. Um, Super interesting. So that leads me into my next question actually is I think the SDR role has changed quite a bit with new tools and AI. In some ways it hasn't changed at all, which you mentioned, but um, how are your SDRs working differently, and what types of AI tools are they using? Where's the impact?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I mean, like, I think we're, just getting started on this journey. And so I can kind of talk about what the North Star is and why, and then like where we've seen success and what we're experimenting with right now. But the thing about AI, and this isn't just an SDR function, it's really every function out there, is like we have the opportunity to eliminate mindless admin work. If it's not strategic to put human brain power on it, why should we be doing that? Because there's so much more we can do with our humans. And so, I'm not on the side of this argument that I'm trying to eliminate a bunch of jobs. I'm trying to evolve the jobs that we currently have to make them much higher impact and more personally rewarding too. Let's be perfectly honest. I think having to manually mine through Salesforce as a human all day long isn't a very fulfilling job. And it's no super strategic. The reason it's strategic is because there's no other way to do this effectively. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate the admin work. I was early in my career a predictable revenue disciple. I think like most people. I mean, like I was like freaking love this funnel. The math is so clear. My job is a spreadsheet job. Like this is so fun. And it was fun for a while. And I had my hands on Outreach really early days before other people were using tools like that. The inbox is broken. I auto decline all unknown calls. Like it is really, really hard to get attention. And that's not just an SDR function. That's all digital. And so like I need my SDR breaking through that noise. So some of the things we've done really early days, we're a happy focus customer is, I'm talking about all those data signals. How do I actually, in a meaningful way, surface what I think is the right person at the right time with the right message? And those are all the things we're trying to stitch together. The right experience is a little bit tougher for completely automating. But, we tried a bunch of AI tools for SDRs to send messages. And that was expanding our database, which guilty. That was not a good look. And it's really hard to have oversight here. And so something we've really evolved into is, okay, great. Like how can we infuse AI into some of the developer support work? So my SDRs are calling developers. Developers don't want an SDR to call them anyway. So still provide them support. And then get my SDR team focused higher up the chain. And so calling into heads of engineering, VPs of IT, like I want to move up the organization, but with personalization. So instead of just like generic templates, we now incorporated prompts into our outreach templates because I still see the SDR role, the human role as like, how do I make sure that I'm being really, really thoughtful? But the AI should help them move faster and more intelligently. So like bring things they couldn't find and do it faster. That's where we're really focusing our gains right now. And that's really the human in the loop concept. We're testing some human out of the loop as well. Again, how do we automate, people kind of at the lower end, making sure they get what they need and where they need to go really quickly. Human in the loop is just making sure that, I'm going to trust my SDRs over AI. Or how do I make them move faster? So that's where we find success. But look, I'm like driving up and down the 101. I'm still not convinced that SDRs are out of jobs. And I think it's a really important feeder into other roles within an organization. So I don't see that role going away anytime soon, but I do see it evolving.
Yeah, I mean, I see those billboards too anytime I fly into SF, and I just like laugh to myself. I was like, well, I am not seeing this in practice, and the companies that are able to do this maybe constitute like 1% of the market. Like if you sell something really cheap that's not complicated, maybe you can automate it and get rid of SDRs, but that's like 1% of business.
Yeah, and you think about like buyer behavior. I buy on a whim when I see an Instagram ad for a consumer grid. Like I totally buy that way. Like I'm not proud of it, but I am influenced that way or many people.
As well.
But if you're buying multi-$100,000 software, multi-million-dollar contracts with professional services, you're doing any sort of internal transformation, Like, this is really consultative work, and it's our job, and especially like that marketing intelligence engine, like, how do I deploy my SDRs so that they can be really, really strategic? And I think this is kind of figuring out how to live that ABM dream. And I hate like marketing acronyms and trends where everyone talks about something and then it ends up being like just display ads or list building. Account-based marketing, like whatever you want to call it, is again like, hey, I need to help solve problems for my customers. Like, how do I do that as effectively as possible? It's making their jobs really easy. As a buyer too, when I'm working with vendors, and I think you guys helped me with this, like build the pitch deck for me internally. Like that type of work really sells. And so we want to bring that all the way through to that first touch experience.
Yeah, like always adding value. I mean, I won't name names, but I've gotten a really horrible automated experience where it wasn't a small ticket item. It was maybe like 50, 60 in spend, where I could tell that the seller on the other side was just had me in an automation where it was just
Probably the M dashes everywhere. I'm like, oh,
yeah, responding to me, and it just felt like there was like such carelessness. And I was thinking to myself, like, who wants to be sold like this? Nobody. This
no,
is
no.
small.
The scary thing in the marketing role is part of my job is to protect our brand. And it's really hard to measure and see the brand impact happening right now because I'm a really fickle buyer. And so you get a couple shots with me and you're out. And if you're sending me generic spam, I'm not going to open an email ever again. I just don't have the time, and none of our buyers have the time. And so, like, that's immeasurable, and you won't see it. I probably won't unsubscribe from your email. Like, I still on your database. Maybe I look at a couple of things, but like, I'm never going to convert because I know I'm one of many. And we're all humans. You want to feel important. You want to feel valued.
Yeah, exactly. And the AI is there to make that process faster, not completely automated and take the human out of the loop where it's just so obvious.
Exactly.
Yeah. Since you mentioned the billboards on the 101, you have a funny story about this. Can you tell us about the billboard that Redis did on the 101?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think we did the market or no, which is we bought one billboard on 101. We got to get in the key here. It's a fun time to be a marketer, kind of a scary time. But look, I mean, you got to break through the noise. We have an insanely talented brand team here at Redis, and if you task them, say, I'm going to give you one billboard and one billboard only, they're going to come up with something really magical. And ours just says, it's bright red, it's the Redis red that everyone knows and loves, and it just says, my boss really wants you to know we're an AI company. And we get pictures on LinkedIn constantly. And that's all you want. With Billboard, you're just trying to get talked about. Like, I'm just trying to get some recognition. And people love it. I get texts all the time. So like, it's our job to break through. And that's sometimes the same thing with the SDR job, same thing with seller's job. You drive up and down the 101. And for the people that have been there, like, you should make a trip because it is really fun just to do it. You're like, oh my God, this is crazy. It's just all so meaningless. Everyone's saying the same thing. AI, AI, AI. And it's great, but it's not breaking through the noise, and digital's a nightmare. Our inboxes are a nightmare. And so if you can either find a moment to help someone completely rethink problems that they're trying to solve, introduce new problems that they need to solve, or just have a surprise and delight moment. Like, I'm commuting, stuck in traffic. Sometimes I just want to laugh at something, especially if I feel like I'm in, the in crowd. So like, that's how we really approach that billboard. And it's a testament to our amazing brand team.
Yeah, I think it's so smart on so many levels because you're getting the people who are in on the joke, who empathize with that message. They're like, oh, thank God somebody's just saying the truth. And then you also get the layperson who doesn't know anything and sees all these like AI billboards and they're like, I have no idea what that means, but I see this one and I think it's funny. So now I've created some brand affinity with, a random person driving on the 101.
100%, especially like, I'm not going to name names, but I was just walking down the street and you've got the trucks driving by with ads on them, and it's just don't hire any humans. You're like, oof, this is kind of bleak out there. So it's important to like bring that humanity into what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. One thing you mentioned earlier was, with all of this AI change, there are some things that just don't change at all. You said nothing core about what we do is changing that much. Would love for you to unpack that. And then tell me a little bit about what this means for like the types of skill sets that marketers should be bringing to the table now.
Yeah, that's a great question. And look, the way I see AI, and feel free to DM me on LinkedIn and challenge me on this, is it's just another tool in our tool belt. And so, the tool cannot be the strategy. Strategy defines what tools that you seek out. And I think AI is making all of the tools significantly more effective. And I think that's amazing. And it's really exciting because, we've been kind of fed this lie the last 10 years that just one more tool, your toolbox can solve all your problems. And I've been, guilty of believing in this too. We're seeing a massive amount of consolidation, but like again, end of the day, right person, right time, right message, right experience. I think what it's going to do though is make like what's old is new. For us, we're seeing events massively eclipse any other tactic in ROI. People are showing up, they're engaging, we're able to have meaningful conversations, we're able to break through the noise that way. And so we're probably going to see kind of like this rebirth of the Mad Men era of advertising and marketing, where like we're actually spending the time understanding our customers and moving away from what I was talking about. I was like, this is not a spreadsheet job anymore. You need to make sure the math is like rock solid. And that's a really, really critical role for any CMO or any business leader right now, is like, how do I make sure where I'm placing my bets is right? But I mean, it's not just sending mass emails. I don't need 10,000 people to generate X amount of pipelines, to generate X amount of revenue anymore. Like that's just being disrupted at every level. And so we don't even look at the funnel that way, which is why I kind of joke about the funnel. Like I don't present funnel slides because I don't think they tell the story anymore. And so, how do you tell the story well? That's evolving. But again, we know our customers and we just surprise them, delight, and have creative moments to break through and show them the way they're thinking could be evolved.
Yeah. There's actually a good question from the audience around this topic. Redis is a technical product, you're selling to developers. And so the question is, it's hard to find technical SDRs or marketing folks. How have you tackled that need or bridged the gap at a company like Redis?
That's a great question. Look, it's important to define, the role of the SDR in that experience. Like my SDRs aren't here to solve technical problems. We have a support team to do that. We have an amazing documentation site. And so we are actually hiring people with technical backgrounds. Again, we're hiring people who we want to evolve into sellers, but we have a massive amount of enablement, and AI has actually been massively productive. I'll do a quick shout out here to my friends over at Google. They've transformed the way we find information. And so you can be on the phone in real time. Someone can ask a question and you can be just looking it up and get that, what feels like a technical support question, answered really quickly. We just need to make sure that you can surface it again in real time. We also have a bunch of custom GPTs to help everyone prep for the meetings they're having. So, you're feeding in the account, the persona, anything you have on the Intel perspective to say, like, what is our hypothesis? What are the problems that we see others solving so that we can have that, what feels like somewhat personalized experience and perspective. I'll give a very specific example where, it's done right and wrong. You're getting prospected. For us at Redis, someone comes to me and is like, I help companies like Visa, Bank of America, like big enterprises in different industries. I don't care. I don't care what they're doing, actually. I want to hear what the companies a little bit ahead of me are doing. Come tell me what Anthropic is building. Come tell me what Vercel is building, what Notion is doing, like what the companies that are growing really fast but aren't so far past what I'm doing and it's different that it's not interesting, right? I'm not going to go adopt the Bank of America playbook. It's not going to be relevant to me. And so how do we make sure that personalization comes through as quickly as possible? Again, like Glean has been a huge unlock for us, and that is not a paid, not a paid promotion here, but they can use that for a customer case study because again, they've been insanely transformative for us.
That's awesome. How do you screen for willingness to use AI tools and savviness around those tools?
That's a great, yeah. We're definitely evolving a hiring profile, and I was just having this conversation with some leaders, and everything is changing so fast. And so we care a lot less about the hard skills. We can train on the hard skills. We're looking for attitude. We're looking for curiosity. We're looking for growth mindset. We want people who are teachers, who want to understand why. And that can really come to light from any type of job experience. You can get someone right out of school who has that, again, that aptitude. That's what we're really looking for. And it's been really tough because, it makes your job easy when you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to hire directly from this company, this exact role, because I like what they're doing and I'm going to buy that playbook. I can't buy a playbook anymore. All I can do is say, hey, I want you on the team. I can't promise the role's not going to change because I have no idea what the roles are going to look like in the next 18 months. But I want you on the team and I want to make sure you're bought into the vision that we're just going to keep evolving and things are always going to change. And that's the fun of it. And that's why you join a startup. That's why you join a private company, because look, if you want stability, go to AWS. Take some stability there, but you probably won't do that many exciting things. You don't have to stay AWS.
Yes, no offense to AWS. We deeply need you to not have any more outages.
You Redis on that one?
That's super interesting. And I think what I'm gleaning from that is that you need to hire people who are okay with ambiguity, are okay with rapid change. So I think like the greatest skill to foster is adaptability. And I don't know exactly how you would foster that if anyone is early career and listening. But I think just being okay with like riding the wave and knowing that you're going to learn a lot in the process.
We want the mavericks, like we want the people who are just like, I'm going to get on the board. I'm going to ride this. I have no idea what it's going to turn into. And I'm just going to keep getting on it. Like that's how you'll be successful in your career. This is a thing, kind of career mentorship, let's just lean into that discomfort. Don't wait.
Awesome. Okay. I feel like we could keep going on this topic, but I do have two more rapid fire questions for you, Megan. So one, you've already given us a hot take, but you had another hot take that I thought was really interesting, which is around attribution, and how attribution is smoke and mirrors, which I personally agree with. So make your case.
Yeah, attribution is BS and it helps us all sleep better at night. But let's be really honest with ourselves. Seeing an ad on LinkedIn is not closing a $10 million deal. It's not closing $1 million deal. It's probably not closing a $100,000 deal. Now, it's important to measure. Again, I love the spreadsheet part of my job, so I'm not advocating for no measurement. What I am saying is, again, with AI, with anything we're doing right now, we have to go to what are we trying to solve? What is our purpose? Why are we here? And how do we know if we're on the right path? Generating leads that convert in a mediocre conversion, like these are human beings. So if I have 90% of my website visitors or 90% of anyone doesn't convert, 10% converts, great for that 10%, but that means I haven't added value for 90% of people. So I don't want to pat myself on the back there. I think that does everybody a disservice. But what really matters is hearing from the customers. When you look at ICP work, put that quadrant together. You want to look at, who moves through your sales cycle quickly, who doesn't churn, and who's going to add a lot of value to your business through their contracts. Their contracts are growing and they're an advocate for you. And so like, that's how you look at what marketing is doing well. Or like, am I creating champions? Am I creating advocates? And am I helping the sales team do their jobs more effectively? It's not just a data play. It's really like listening to these calls, talking to these customers and hearing, are they using the words you're using? Are we seeing conversion rates improve after doing a big, messaging refresh? Like that's where you want to look if marketing is doing the right thing or not. Attribution, great. It has a place. Like it helps me place my bets without flying blind. Do I know I should do this event again? Do I know if this, campaign worked or not? Like kind of, but we should not treat it like the single source of truth the way we all do. And it's because it's comfortable and it's really uncomfortable to know that there isn't a perfect answer here. But most people buy because of conversations they're having that you will never be privy to. So it's important to create those champions who are super pumped to talk about you positively behind your back. Same thing with career mentorship. Find people who will talk about you positively behind your back.
I love that. Preach. Honestly, love it so much. I think people over rely on the numbers and it's almost like a security blanket. And I think when you like break it down further, the truth is murkier. And then it just, like people get lost in that sauce. And I think the message here is use it directionally, but do not get lost in that sauce and still make decisions from more of a first principle standpoint around what you're talking about, which is like, who your customers are.
First principles used to be the ethos. I think we lost our way. It's got to come back.
It's got to come back. All right, one last rapid fire, and then I'll let you go. If you could smash one thing about B2B go to market, and a tactic, a tool, a common practice, what would it be and why?
I think playbooks, like smash playbooks. Playbooks don't exist anymore. They all have to be rewritten right now. I don't think there's one tactic, one tool, one thing that will ever work perfectly, and it certainly will never work forever. And so smash your perception. First principles ethos. Like, I don't know, you bring people in and they're like, well, we did this here at this big company 5 years ago. I'm like, that's so cool. That's really great. We can learn from it. Let's break it apart. Let's be really curious as to why. What were they solving? What were the tools they had to solve it? But don't buy the playbook as verbatim. Like, I can't just go use that here because everything is different now. And so that's what I want to smash as well. Playbooks, apply first principles thinking, just approach everything. I'm like, what is the problem we're trying to solve? It's to start with why. I mean,
Yeah,
books, like, they come in and out of our memory. But that's all we're trying to do is deeply understand, like, what are we doing? And what do we have to go solve it? I'm like, let's go figure that out.
the more things change, a lot of things stay the same. And that like core advice you just gave is so perfect. And I love to end on that. So thank you so much, Megan. This was so interesting. Really love hearing your perspective on all of these things. You're one of the most like revenue oriented marketing leaders I've spoken to. And I think that's also a message, if you're a marketing leader, you need to be as close to revenue as possible. Otherwise, I'd be worried about your job. Where can people find you if they want to continue the conversation?
Yeah, send me a message on LinkedIn. Like, I'm happy to chat.
Good.
Don't or send me an email. I obviously don't look at any of those, but you can send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect and talk about the numbers, talk about what's changing, anything you want.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Megan. And thanks, everybody who tuned in. We'll see you next time.